Welcome back to New Rockstars. This is The Big Question, the show that gives you too much information about the slow march of imminent decay of our mortal forms, and who's the real Daddy Warbucks of the comic world. I just realized his last name is Warbucks. Like, does Daddy Warbucks make all of his money from war? Is he a war
I would assume so. I would assume so. War's a very profitable thing, I hear.
That's really dark for little orphan Annie. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm off-screen producer Brandon, and I'm here with MT. Say hello to the people, MT.
Greetings, people. I hope you all are doing well. I missed you. It's been a while since I've seen you, even though it's only been a couple of days, but hello.
The people missed you too, MT. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. All right, let's hop into the big question this week. The Falcon and Winter Soldier has introduced some new super soldiers onto the MCU chessboard. We got the mysterious organization, the Flag Smashers. We've finally been introduced to Isaiah Bradley, an American super soldier. Bucky fought as the Winter Soldier back in 1951, and who was then imprisoned and kept secret from the public. Terrible stuff. But all of these super soldiers really bring up one of our favorite ontological questions. How does aging work differently for super soldiers?
That is a fantastic question, Brandon. I'm glad you asked it.
Thank you.
Well, before we talk about that, we got to talk about us, because there's more humans on the world than super soldiers. I don't know what people have told you, but that is the case. And aging in humans is natural and has many effects on the body, and we do it every day. It's against our will. It's literally the worst. Don't do it if you can. Just aging.
I hate aging.
My bones hurt every day, ever since I turned 25. Just don't do it. At a microscopic level, our cells die off and new cells replace them as we age. But at some point, the new cells stop coming because our genes are programmed to limit the number of times a cell can divide and make new cells. As a result of this, most bodily functions peak before age 30, and then the slow decline begins. I'm 29, so I'm feeling that slow decline right now.
I wish I was 29, MT. I wish I was still 29. That would be great.
29 is, it's pretty good, but I'm starting to feel it, Brandon. I'm starting to feel it.
Stay there. Apparently 30 is when it all starts to go downhill. So stay at 29 for as long as you can.
Stay as long as you can. For the love of God, cherish it.
The eyes and ears are usually the first things to change, but a lot of other effects of aging can be seen throughout the body. I mean, bones become less dense, joints begin to break down as the cartilage weakens, muscles become less strong, our skin becomes thinner and less elastic, the nerve cells in our brain decrease, and even our sense of smell and taste gets weaker, which I'm not looking forward to. I mean, at that point, it's just like, how do I survive without the sense of smell and taste? Brandon,
how do I tell if the cheese has gone bad if I can't smell it? You know?
Exactly. You're just gonna have to just pray. Just eat the cheese anyway and just pray.
Oh, cheese gods, please give me unmoldy cheese this day.
Cheese gods, please don't hurt me, cheese gods.
Delicious cheese gods.
Cheese lactose gods. Thank you. I don't know what it was.
Oh, the lactose gods have forsaken me. Don't worry about that.
Oh, me too. I am very lactose intolerant, Brandon. Oh, no.
I've been tossed out of the kingdom of lactose. That's
man.
for sure.
The lactose gang, I envy you. I envy all of you guys that can eat lactose. I am not part of the lactose gang. There are a lot more awful, terrifying, depressing things that can happen to our frail human bodies as we age, but I just wanted to hit the highlights and give you a concise idea about the process of aging.
I appreciate you keeping it peppy.
No problem. It's what I do. It's just, just gotta keep it positive, light. We're all dying every day. You know, Brian. It's the little things, Brandon.
Just creeping towards the grave, my friend. Just creeping towards the grave.
But our super soldier friends do not have to worry about this problem, which is great, Steve. I'm glad you don't have to worry about that or think about that. Aging for them is completely different. There are different versions of the super soldier serum out there, but it seems like every version has the effect of enhancing the metabolic, cellular, and chemical processes of the body. And this increases strength, stamina, and healing abilities while building up greater resistances to fatigue and exhaustion. More importantly, they appear to age much slower than you and me.
Looking fresh in their old age.
And even Isaiah Bradley, he's still looking pretty good for his age.
He's still looking pretty good.
And you know what they say, Brandon? Black don't crack. So
is that what they say?
It's what they say every day.
It is what they say.
It's what the first words my mother told me. He's like, listen, young baby, black don't crack. You'll be looking like this till you're 85.
The first words my mother told me were, stay out of the moldy cheese.
Don't eat the moldy cheese, Brandon. Trust your sense of smell and taste. Now, it's important to keep in mind that Steve Rogers is the only super soldier that we know of that has received the original Dr. Erskine formula with the ever-important Vita rays. Every other super soldier has been the result of an attempt to recreate that formula with varying degrees of success.
Yeah, Steve got that uncut Erskine, like, this is the real juice. This is the real Mamma Jamma. He's don't worry, Steve, I'm going to make so much of this stuff. We're going to have whole armies full of Erskine's formula. It's going to be great.
Oh, man, like, it's that original recipe, KFC, that Steve got in his veins, man.
Ooh, that's the good stuff.
Finger-licking good. Delicious. Now, we'll go through the super soldiers that we do know of and see if we can determine their aging process, starting with Captain America, born on July 4th, 1918. What a coincidence, right?
What a coincidence for old Captain America.
Right? I feel like the parents had to plan that.
That's like, I think it's like retconning by the U.S. government. Like, they probably went in and changed his, like, birth date to make it July 4th.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, you got to look more patriotic, and there's nothing patriotic about August 2nd.
Sorry, all you August 2nds
I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm sure you guys are very patriotic. Anyway, so he was born on July 4th, 1918, and he gets the serum in 1943. And in 1945, he crashes into the Arctic ice and is frozen at age 27, which is, you know, he's done a lot more at 27 than I've ever done. So it's still pretty good. And then he's thawed out in 2011, 66 years later, but he's actually 27 since he was frozen that entire time.
Yeah, because this is like going to be important because, right, because when you're frozen in the ice, you're not aging, I guess, because his metabolism is so slow. He's like barely moving.
Yeah, so like your biological age is still 27, even though
like on paper he's 66, but he's 27. Yeah, he looks great when he comes out.
Oh yeah, he looks fantastic. I haven't been frozen. I look like I'm 56. So.
I've been very cold before, never frozen.
I mean, I live in New England, so we're just perpetually frozen, I guess.
You're like 106, right? You look great.
And then, by the end of the final battle with Thanos in Endgame in 2023, he should be around like 39 years old. And then he goes through the quantum tunnel to replace the Infinity Stones, but decides to live out in a branch reality with Peggy Carter, the love of his life, in an alternate. I mean, she's a very strong, powerful, but also coincidentally very beautiful British woman. Yeah, I would totally leave all my friends and family for Peggy Carter, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I would risk the time-space continuum to live out a life with Peggy Carter. Don't tell my wife.
Oh, great Scott!
I wouldn't even text my mom. I'd just be like, hey, I'm just gone. I'm sleeping.
New phone, who dis? Sorry, I'm in a new reality, dog. Leave me alone, Mom.
Everybody knows that my mom is the only number I have in my phone. So
that's like you live life like an assassin. Just one number in the phone. That's all he's got.
Yes. I have a separate phone just for my mom. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, we can assume that he went back to 1945, around the time he disappeared into the ice. So when we see him again in Endgame as Old Cap, he should be around 117. And he definitely looks and sounds older, but he's still pretty spry for 117 years old, I gotta say. Most people would be mega dead at 117. I know that I'm probably not gonna get past 65. Because
no, you can't say that, MT. Like I'm Babe Ruth in my age. I keep calling it at 120. Like I'm living to 120.
Oh shoot, 120.
Well, I don't spend my life like I'm gonna make it to 120, but I just keep calling my shot. You know what I mean? You can't put out there that you're gonna only go to 65.
Bro, you're gonna make it to 170, bro. I can see it right now.
I don't know.
170.
What am I gonna do with 170? Ugh. I'll be
like
so
at 170, we're all gonna look like that shriveled fish from the SpongeBob, the old lady fish from the chocolates episode.
I remember when they first invented chocolate. Sweet, sweet chocolate. I always hated it.
Get off my virtual lawn. So he comes back. He lives out the whole reality with Peggy Carter. So now he's 117 when he gives Sam the shield, right?
Yes. He's
looking
doing
good
his for 117. He gives Sam the shield at 117. But really, he's about 183 because he did spend 66 of those years on ice, but with a very slow metabolism.
Yeah, so. his thawed out age is 117. He's 183 on paper, 117 thawed out. Okay.
Yes, it's 117 is what he puts on his Tinder profile, so people don't think he's super old. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
It's very smart. But that's Steve Rogers. But next up is Cap's best friend forever, Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier. Now, Bucky was born on March 10th, 1917, and enlisted in the Army in 1943, but was captured and given super soldier serum in that same year, I believe. And in 1945, Bucky goes missing during the train mission and is reclaimed by HYDRA, and this is where the on and off again freezing starts.
So, MD, you're saying he enlists in the military, right?
Yes.
And then he gets captured in that first year. That's a real bummer. He's a POW.
Mega bummer.
Zola is like doing all these things to all these prisoners, and he winds up giving some knockoff of the Erskine formula to Bucky.
Yes.
And then Steve comes and liberates them all, puts together the Howling Commandos, right? And then, like, during the train robbery, Bucky falls off the train.
Bye, Bucky.
Bye, Bucky. Because he has this, like, serum in his body already, he's able to live through this scenario, right? Zola finds him again, and then they give him the arm, right? Okay.
Exactly. You nailed it, Brandon.
Thank you.
You freaking nailed it. It's almost like you wrote the script.
Don't tell the people at home that.
You didn't hear that from me. That is exactly right. Now, we do know that Bucky fought Isaiah Bradley during the Korean War in 1951, and he is involved with the assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963, which is, highly unfortunate, but,
Highly unfortunate.
If you're mind controlled, it's fine.
It's not his fault.
It's totally not his fault.
He's a mind-controlled robot.
But then, in 1991, Tony Stark's parents were murdered by Bucky, and Bucky would then go on to train some super soldiers in that 90s period. And then, sometime after that, he kills Yuri's son, as we see in episode 1 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is very sad. I'm sure he feels very bad about that. And then later on, he assassinates a target being protected by Black Widow in 2009.
Oh, that's right. He, like, shoots through her, right? That's how she describes it. And then she's like, bye-bye bikini.
Yes.
Which she's real chipper about it. And I'm sure she looks fine in the bikini.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's Scarlett Johansson.
Come on.
And then he comes back in 2014 during the events of Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and he goes on the run, makes some amends after that, and then he gets his arm fried by Tony Stark in Captain America Civil War, and then he gets frozen.
The aforementioned parent death comes back to haunt him.
Oh, yes. I mean, if you kill someone's parents, you can't just feel like you got away with it, because you probably
remembered, though. He remembers all of them.
He remembers every person he killed, and that's very sweet, but also kind of torturous, and I'm so sorry.
It's very torturous. He's making his amends.
Yeah, he's got his list. He's checking it twice. He's going to find out if he's been naughty or nice. Mostly naughty.
Mostly naughty.
And then he gets frozen in Wakanda in 2016. We don't know how long he's been frozen for, but we know that he was frozen in 2016. And then he fights in the Battle of Wakanda in 2018, and then gets blipped, and then comes back in 2023, where he's going on adventures with his best black friend, Sam Wilson. It's always good to have a best black friend, Brandon. I mean, do you have any positions open? Because
I'm always accepting applications.
I'm just saying. So now it is 6 months after the blip, so like 2023, 2024-ish. And Bucky said in episode 1 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier that he is 106 years old. Now, he still looks pretty damn young, but he did spend some of that time frozen, and he had HYDRA constantly monitoring him medically, though their methods aren't always about putting patient care and comfort first, but they did a somewhat good job. He still looks pretty good.
Mastering the smoky eye has never been easier.
Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's...
Anytime the doctor gives you something to bite down on before you do the procedure, it ain't going to be a fun procedure, my friend. Mon frere.
Mon frere, it's going to be pretty rough, mon frere.
It's going to be pretty rough. So Bucky says he's 106, and he obviously looks like way younger than Steve when Steve's 117. But also, we know Bucky's been frozen a bunch. We don't know how long he was frozen for. We listed everything we know, but there were probably other missions he ran. So he's on and off, but he could have been frozen for like half of that time, right? If you think about it.
Yeah, it is true. We just don't know the rate at which HYDRA was using this man.
They're doing all this medicine to like keep him alive and like keep him looking fresh. So, that's probably playing into it. But again, it's tough to tell, right? Like how old he really is, because he's getting thawed and refrozen, which is dangerous to do to your meat. You can't do that. Once you thaw the meat, you can't refreeze it, folks.
Exactly.
Be safe out there.
I love how you call it meat. You move your meat, you lose your seat, as they say.
The human meat, the chicken meat, whatever meat you eat, don't freeze it, thaw it, and then refreeze it. It's
Seriously.
dangerous.
If you're gonna freeze your meat, you're gonna freeze it one time. Only freeze your meat one time because you can't do it more than once. Hashtag don't freeze your meat, guys.
Hashtag don't refreeze your meat. All right, bye-bye. So he's got this knockoff Erskine formula. He's aging a little differently than Steve, but it looks like it's working pretty well because he's still looking great at 106 with an asterisk.
Oh, for sure. 100%. He looks great. It's that all that moisturizing.
Nice.
He uses Jergens, I hear. Jergens really helps him with just kidding. No, it's all that frozen stuff. You know, he was definitely on ice way more than Steve was. With Steve living in his alternate reality and not being frozen, Bucky is definitely going to look a lot younger than Steve would.
Bucky got like the HYDRA version of Jergens, which is just Jurgens, which is just a bunch of people named Jurgens that they ground up and made into like a lotion because they're HYDRA. They're awful, folks.
Yes. R.I.P. Jurgens.
R.I.P. all you Jurgens.
All you Jurgens that were sacrificed to make Bucky Barnes look so damn good. But next, we have, of course, the newest super soldier that was introduced in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Isaiah Bradley. And we're not sure when Isaiah was born, but he has to be at least 18 to enlist in the army. So by the time he was fighting Bucky in the Korean War in 1951, he was at least 18 years old, but probably closer to like 20-ish.
Yeah, they probably weren't like pulling off guys fresh on the line to be like, give the 18-year-old some super soldier serum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he was probably already proved himself on the battlefield.
But he was never put on ice, but was instead imprisoned and tested on for at least 30 years. 30 years. That's 3 decades. That's insanity. When I heard that, I was like, are you for real? Are you for real? Ugh. Like, it's so sad. But anyway, he probably wasn't getting good food or decent medical care during this time, unfortunately, because, you know, the whole black thing. But in fact, his imprisonment was probably pretty harsh considering his abilities because, you know, if you're a strong dude, you could probably break out of prison fairly easily.
They probably had him locked up like pretty brutally. And you're right, like he's not, unlike Bucky, who is a weapon of HYDRA, and they're keeping him at like peak performance and giving him what he needs. Like Isaiah Bradley, they probably tossed him in like a dark metal cell somewhere, kept him away from the light, giving him crappy food. He's not getting to like keep his body like in great shape. So it's just the serum doing everything it can to hold him together. Plus, as you point out, he's getting experimented on. So we don't know what that's doing to him, right? Taking out his blood and taking DNA samples. Who knows what it's doing to him?
Yeah, that man had most likely a very rough time in prison, and they just did not treat this man well. Most likely because they're just trying to figure out why the formula in his blood works and trying to most likely recreate it. And so that's a lot of prodding and poking, and that's unfun for 30 years. Yeah. But he could be a lot older than we think. I mean, we can safely assume Isaiah's age is at least in the low to mid 90s, and while he shows some age on his face, it's clear he's still pretty strong and mentally adept, as we saw him throw that little tin into the wall.
Yeah, do those Altoids like right into the wall, man. They stuck right in there.
Yeah, that is 100% part of the wall now. Like that is.
But for being at least like 90, he's in great shape. It looks tough. He looks like he can still take on anybody. And he's sharp. Yeah, and he's pissed. He's rightfully pissed off.
I mean, I wouldn't even assume that he owns a life alert. I don't think that he needs a life alert.
Life alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for life alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Get out of my house!
So again, this is like he gets a knockoff Erskine formula, right? The government's probably trying to recreate it because they've lost Steve in the ice and they're not looking for him hard enough, guys. He's right there. Go get him. So they come up with this new formula. They at least tested on Isaiah Bradley. There were probably other people they tested on. Maybe it didn't work. Maybe it did work. Who knows? But for whatever reason, we can assume that the government maybe stops trying it for a little while until, you know, Big Daddy Ross comes back and starts it up again. Because, like, there must have been a reason they're not trying to perfect it still. Maybe it was Isaiah. They realized with Isaiah Bradley, it's like too dangerous to have these super soldiers running around that you've pissed off and want a little agency with their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we find out more about like what happened. I mean, with that whole process with Isaiah as the show goes on.
I mean, can you imagine if you live next to Isaiah Bradley and like in that neighborhood and you're like a kid and you keep, you know, like the Sandlot, like you keep knocking like balls into his backyard and you're like, oh man, I have to go into Mr. Bradley's backyard. Last time I lost my baseball back there, he bit it in half and he spit it in my face. He took my soccer ball and he threw it to Cleveland.
Right.
So this guy's a
He
dick.
threw it 4 cities away.
And then
Come
your parents
on.
are like, don't say that. You can't say that about Mr. Bradley. And you're like, he's mean. He's mean. I'm scared of Mr. Bradley.
Yeah, I would be terrified of Mr. Bradley because old people did not like me as a child because I was frankly crying all the time.
They didn't like you, huh? Old people had it out for you. I bet Isaiah Bradley can leave like a full bowl of Halloween candy out and like no one will take the whole bowl. You know what I mean? Like they just take a little piece. You don't gotta mess with Mr. Bradley.
Isaiah Bradley keeps a tight Halloween ship.
Mr. Bradley took all my Whoppers and then he threw them into the wall. Now they're stuck in the cement wall. My Whoppers.
I was gonna say that like I took too much candy and he threw me to another city, but
Mr. Bradley threw me to Cleveland.
Anyway, I don't even know what I'm saying. Oh,
If you're a child that takes all the candy, you deserve to get thrown into another city.
I would say so, honestly. I mean,
that's how it is.
Don't do it.
That's not child abuse. That's justice.
Yeah, because like the candy's for everybody. Because if you're taking too much candy, other kids can't get the candy. So
we live in a society where we have to trust each other with free candy, okay?
Exactly. And Isaiah's a hero.
Rules.
He would never throw a child without a good reason.
I trust him. I trust him to throw any child he deems unworthy.
Exactly. Now that we got those 3 main super soldiers out of the way, we got to talk about the attempts to recreate the super soldier serum in Emil Blonsky and, of course, Bruce Banner. Now, in the MCU, it's been established that the work that Bruce Banner was doing that eventually turned him into the Hulk was a part of a project Thaddeus Ross was overseeing to recreate the super soldier serum. Now, Banner thought that gamma radiation could replace the Vita radiation that Erskine originally used.
And how'd that turn out for old Brucey Banner?
Not good. He was 110% wrong, as that turned him into a giant green, strong booger man.
Though he didn't really know what he was working. He thought he was like working on like a radiation reducer or something weird, like a protective serum to help people who are exposed to radiation.
Yeah,
he was like showing off.
They never tell the scientists what they're really working on. I mean,
he's dating the boss's daughter. He wants to show off, so he's like, I'm going to give myself a double dose of radiation because I'm so good, and this is going to work so well. And
some
Ross
extra
is probably
vitamin.
like behind the glass, like, what is he doing? This is not what he shouldn't do. This. He's actually working on super soldier serum.
Yeah, I mean that is a good point. He was dating his daughter, so you do crazy things.
You don't date the boss's daughter. You
Never,
do dumb things
never.
at work.
It's
you do
terrible
dumb things
idea.
at work.
My day with the president's daughter, oh yeah, my day with her, so good.
So, Bruce was given a recreated version of the super soldier serum, unbeknownst to him, before blasting himself with all that gamma radiation. While his results weren't standard to other super soldiers, like for example, Bruce appears to not have any heightened abilities when he's not the Hulk, we will have to see if there are any long-term effects on his aging. Because we don't really know
What if
that
Bruce just like lives for like another 100 years? That'd be crazy.
It's true. That would be pretty nuts. And I feel like that's highly probable because
And he's like, what's going on? I just want to die.
I don't know anybody else in the MCU that wants to die more than Bruce Banner, unfortunately.
You have to return to your body now. You don't have time.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm a ghost. But you're not dead. Bye,
But his like monologue about like eating a bullet and
I know, so
that's
dark.
so depressing, so dark.
So dark, but at the same time, bro, it's hard being the Hulk.
It's hard being the Hulk. Hey, but you got to go to Ragnarok. Fun.
Right? You get to go to Asgard. You get to have all those fun adventures. So stop complaining, Bruce.
Thank God the bullet didn't work.
Right? Seriously, because he ends up saving the universe. Now, another person given the super soldier serum was, of course, Emil Blonsky in the Incredible Hulk film. Now, he was a special ops commando with the British Royal Marines, and he was born on March 1st, 1971, and he was given the super soldier serum twice in 2010 at the age of 39 as part of Ross's efforts to capture the Hulk. First, he was given a small dose of the serum, and after he did that, he was able to keep up with the Hulk in a fight, but was ultimately punted into a tree trunk, and he got pretty wrecked.
Oh, my boy got wrecked. My boy got wrecked up.
Mega wrecked. Like, you don't walk away from that if you don't have serum in your blood.
Yeah. I feel bad, too, because, like, Ross, like, really talks him into taking the serum. He's like, oh, you're slowing down in your old age.
Seriously?
I'll take a little serum. Oh, I'm feeling great. Oh, look at me. I'm fighting this big green monster. Then, boop, punted.
just can't get, seduced by Ross.
It's that mustache. It's so seductive.
I'm working on mine.
I've been working on mine for a long time, and it ain't never coming.
Hey, man, one day. And then Mr. BLONSKY ends up healing up in a day, if you can believe it, because I can't, because that's kind of insane. But he winds up getting a second, bigger dose of the serum from Ross, which has some effects on his physiology. And then finally, he injects himself with Bruce's gamma and irradiated blood, which turns him into the Abomination, with the help of course, the leader, the future leader anyway.
We hope.
I hope we see him again. I have a feeling that we will, but fingers crossed. And then after being defeated by the Hulk, BLONSKY is placed in a cryo cell in the Vault, a shield facility in Barrow, Alaska. And maybe he still could be there, but we don't really know what BLONSKY's doing these days.
So again, they're putting another super soldier on ice, because BLONSKY was like an older guy who takes the serum. So this is going to be interesting to see what the long-term effects of the serum are on older guys. Because you're starting at a later age, maybe it doesn't work as well. Does it heal up some of the aging you already did?
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But why do they have them on ice?
Seriously, I mean, they're always putting their super soldiers on ice.
Yeah, but you're putting off your problems to your children. You know what I mean? Our children are going to have to deal with all these frozen super soldiers, folks. I mean, Zemo had the right idea.
Exactly. He's like, there's already too many super people around. We don't need more. Both Bruce Banner and Emil BLONSKY received different variations and treatments of the original super soldier serum, and not much time has passed for them in order to determine what effect, if any, it will have on their aging. So we can't really know for sure. But they also received it at a much older age than Steve, Bucky, or Isaiah did. So, we're just going to have to see how that plays out in the long term.
Yeah, maybe the effects will be different. Who knows? Maybe the gamma doesn't help the aging. We'll have to see.
I mean, Mark Ruffalo looks pretty good. I think he has the serum in him. I think they actually did it. That was all just method acting. He was like, put it in me.
Oh man, if Disney has the serum, they're keeping these actors alive forever.
Oh yeah, for sure. Robert Downey Jr. is getting the first dose. Oh, he's definitely coming back.
He's coming back, baby.
And of course, if we're talking super soldiers, we have to talk about the new super soldiers on the block, the Flag Smashers. Now, we don't know how Karli Morgenthau and the Flag Smashers received their super soldier serum yet, or what version or variation of it that they did get, but we are assuming that the power broker gave them the serum. But we'll have to wait and see who the power broker is and where the supply of serum is coming from.
This is our first female recipient of the super soldier serum that we know of.
Yes.
And in the real world, medications affect men and women very differently. This is always a big topic. They do a lot of clinical tests are done on men, but they're not done on women. And so Karli could have totally different side effects from it. Maybe she'll age even less. Maybe she'll Benjamin Button it and turn it into a baby.
Ooh, baby Flag Smashers.
Baby Flag Smashers ruining country divides.
See, that's a whole Disney Plus spinoff for the kids. Baby Flag Smashers, down with the flags.
We don't want any nannies anywhere. No cribs.
And finally, the last super soldier that we're going to talk about is a super soldier that people tend to forget is a super soldier, but Red Skull, aka Johann Schmidt.
Oh yeah, baby, Captain America.
Captain Vormir is more like it.
You are failing me.
So Johann Schmidt, aka Red Skull, is also a super soldier, and he injected himself with a beta version of the Erskine formula, and it had some, unthrilling side effects, mainly to his facial region.
Yeah, because Erskine's telling Steve about how the serum enhances whatever's inside of you, and because Johann Schmidt was full of nothing great, he was full of awful evilness, it really manifested itself in a scary ass face.
I think you meant he was full of shit, Brandon. He was just full of shit.
And it made him angrier, and it made him even more power hungry, so much so that he was gonna bite the hand that feeds him. He was ready to take out the Nazis, which it's a good thing, but it's not good to replace them with HYDRA. It's 1,000 times worse.
I say we should have let him take out the Nazis and then
take him out. There we go. That's the order of operations.
I should have been a general. Move over, Ross. I'm coming in for your job. Though we are not exactly sure when Red Skull was born, we do know that he took the serum around 1940. And then he gets teleported away from Earth by the Tesseract in 1945 and is still alive on Vormir when Thanos shows up in 2018, though it is sort of hard to tell if that's from the serum or the cosmic powers of the Infinity Stones now that he was a guardian of the Soul Stone, or, just the power of hate, which keeps you alive.
He's just kind of floating there, right? We don't see his feet, do we?
I don't even know if he has feet. Does he have feet?
What are
Yes.
Yeah, who's kind of like mysterious. And again, once you've been teleported to space, the rules are out the window. You can live for however long. Who knows how long you live on Vormir?
You're totally right, because like once you start getting cosmic, things are like sort of out the window, because he knew everybody's like names and backgrounds up there.
Right.
So it's just
he's getting like information downloaded into his head. So the normal aging process is out the window at this point. One set of super soldiers we haven't talked about, we kind of briefly mentioned them, are the ones that like in 1991, when Bucky steals the stuff from the Starks, RIP, and then they make like 5 other super soldiers, and we think Zemo's gonna like let him out, but he just winds up killing him. We don't know much about them other than that they were created. It doesn't appear that they got any sort of like HYDRA rays or gamma radiation. It was just injected and they got all angry. And then they started rebelling against their captors, so HYDRA put them on ice like immediately, and then they don't even get thawed out and they just get shot. They look like the same age when they got shot, but again, they've been frozen the whole time, so it's hard to tell what effects, if any, it had on their aging process when they were given the serum. So we don't have to go too deep into them. They're dead.
Yeah.
Forget them.
They're dead. They're gone. They're dead and gone. We don't really, they weren't really major characters, but we have to mention them because they were super soldiers. So looking at all these different super soldiers and their varying aging abilities, it seems like the serum effects on the body's cells, metabolism, and regeneration abilities slow the natural aging process and gives the super soldiers a much longer life, provided that they still treat their bodies well and avoid over-testing by fascist political groups, because that's just not good for the body.
It's not good for the body. So the serum's doing some good work, but you also got to do the work yourself. You know, stay fit,
which is
eat right,
the worst.
drink plenty of water.
The whole food pyramid.
Yeah, the whole food pyramid. Well, I think it's on the side now. I think they got rid of the pyramid. Or there's like 10 pyramids. I don't know.
I think it's a dodecahedron now. I think
it's the food dodecahedron. Yeah, so it sounds like MT, the serum, the way it slows down their aging because they're able to like regrow their cells that us regular humans aren't regrowing so well. Yeah. That's how they're staying young, fresh, and agile. Well, that was great. Fantastic, MT. Great job. We're going to dive into our bite-sized questions next, but first, a word from some of the folks that help us bring you Big Question. We could all benefit from unplugging every now and then. One of my favorite ways to rest my eyes and relax is when I put on my Raycon wireless earbuds and listen to some great music or like a goofy podcast. I hate wired headphones. I'm wearing them now, and it's a terrible idea because you end up yanking them, or you pull them out accidentally, or sometimes when I'm like karate chopping, I catch it and just yanks right out. Sometimes it's like when I'm trying to look cool and I just yank them out of my ears. It's awful. And I often miss like the best part of my goofy podcast that I'm listening to, or I miss my favorite part of the song, and then I'm fumbling around for 30 seconds and my vibe, it's ruined. It's over. It's over. Raycons, they have no dangling wires or stems to get in your way. They come in a range of stylish colors, but always with a comfortable and discreet in-ear fit. Raycons are built to perform anywhere and anytime with water and sweat-resistant construction and Bluetooth that pairs quickly and seamlessly. They have enough battery life for 6 hours of playtime, so the music doesn't have to stop until you need to charge them again. The best part? Raycon makes great sound accessible to everyone, with wireless earbuds starting at half the price of other premium audio brands. Raycon's offering 15% off all their products for our listeners, and here's what you gotta do to get it. You go to buyraycon.com/bigquestion. That's it, buyraycon.com/bigquestion. You'll get 15% off your entire Raycon order, so feel free to grab a pair and a spare. That's 15% off at buyraycon.com/bigquestion. buyraycon.com/bigquestion.
A pair and a spare. Don't mind if I do.
A pair and a spare.
Now, I know a bunch of people whose parents aren't native English speakers and they don't speak their parents' first language. Learning a new language is tough, even when your family is speaking it. Now, thanks to Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app, there's an addictively fun and easy way to learn a new language. Babbel teaches bite-sized language lessons that you'll actually use. That's what's great about Babbel. Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go, like when you're driving or cleaning your home, whatever. Babbel designs their courses with practical, real-world conversations in mind, things that you'll get to use in everyday life. Because it makes sense, because why are you going to speak like you don't speak in everyday life?
Captain America, wo ist die biblioteca?
Captain America. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
Captain America, wie geht's es Ihnen? Gut, danke. Und dir?
Babbel lessons were created by over 100 language experts. Their teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective. Now, with Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German, which is a great language. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you improve your pronunciation and accent, which is very nifty. Start your new language learning journey today with Babbel. Because right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months free. That's 6 months for the price of 3. It's a great deal. So just go to Babbel.com, use the promo code BIGQUESTION, that is BABBEL.com, code BIGQUESTION, all one word, no spaces, for an extra 3 months free. Babbel, language for life.
Okay, MT, are you ready to dive into some bite-sized questions?
Oh, you know it.
Okay, so our first question comes from Khaleesi Stormborn on Discord, and they ask, who's richer, Bruce Wayne or Tony Stark? There have been several real-world publications and institutions that have weighed in on the wealth of famous comic book characters. It's a popular subject. In 2020, last year, I don't know if you recall it, terrible year, Vanquis Bank in the UK estimated some superhero salaries by looking at the average salary for their listed profession in the city where they are based, or like the real-world equivalent of the fictional cities that they belong to, because Gotham ain't a real city.
What?
I don't know if you know this. I don't know. So for Bruce Wayne, they came up with an annual salary of $988,902.
That's a great salary. That's an
Pretty
amazing
good.
salary.
For Tony Stark, the annual salary they came up with was $920,006. I know these numbers sound a little wacky, but that's because Vanquis Bank is in the UK and they did it in pounds and we had to transfer it over to dollars. So it's not a very smooth thing, but great salaries all around,
That's
right?
fantastic salaries.
And that's just the annual salary, assuming they're still doing their jobs while saving the world. So Batman comes out with the advantage here, but salary alone does not constitute wealth. In 2013, Forbes looked at Bruce and Tony's overall wealth. Bruce Wayne's overall wealth, which includes all of his assets, businesses owned, and family inheritance, was $9.2 billion. This same Forbes article said Tony Stark's overall wealth was $12.4 billion. So this gives Tony the advantage now. Just for some perspective, Jeff Bezos is currently worth about $182 billion, which is insane. It really dwarfs what we assume are these mega rich people. Jeff Bezos makes them look like chumps.
Jeff Bezos could fight crime this whole time and chooses not to?
Yeah, instead he's fighting unions. What a jerk.
What a big old jerk.
Captain America!
Captain America!
Am I saying Amazon. Jeff Bezos' Red Skull? I don't know. You read into the subject. So looking at where all their money comes from, both Bruce and Tony have like a ton of defense contracts, which can bank some serious cash. I mean, that's where the money's going. Tony also has a lot of money coming from the energy sector, as well as money he gets from Stark Industries and some of their subsidiaries. In the comics, they bought out Stain International, a company called Accutech, Cordco. They're all under like Stark Industries, so a very rich company. But Wayne Enterprises is no slouch of a company itself. It's one of the oldest companies in the DC universe, having started like in the 17th century, the Waynes have been making money. Wayne Enterprises has been around for a long time. They have a ton of subsidiaries. It's this crazy long list in almost every industry, including aerospace, botanicals, pharmaceuticals, electronics, entertainment. They own the Daily Planet, very Bezos-like, owning the newspaper, retail, oil, and construction. Those are just a few of the subsidiaries, but it's literally like anything you could think of, there's like a Wayne version of it. They have a lot of money. You also have to consider like family wealth here. Howard Stark was a self-made man who started out with nothing and built a very successful company in Stark Industries. The Waynes, on the other hand, are old money. We're talking like the bedrock of Gotham City old money. They're very similar to some real world old money families like the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, or the Hearsts. The money goes back over many generations and is just like accumulated over time and just keeps growing. I mean, wouldn't it be nice just to have a little taste of it, little taste of that old money?
Delicious old money taste. I bet it tastes delicious.
I'm like, Grandma, where's the old money? She's like,
there is no old money.
There is no old money. While Tony Stark might be the richer man, like on paper, I think Bruce Wayne probably might secretly be the richer man here, okay? Because there's some secret money buried away in the family vault. There's a lot of assets they could sell. I bet he's got the advantage over Tony here, for sure.
Oh yeah, probably some some Swiss bank accounts that no one knows about.
There's some Wayne money floating around that ain't on the books, dog.
Oh yeah.
But still, Jeff Bezos is wealthier than both of them combined, so he's the real winner here, I guess. Not in my heart, but he is. He's going to watch this, and he's going to cancel all of my Amazon packages.
He's gonna post everything I've ordered online. He's like, listen, this is what MT orders. He ordered a body pillow to cry into last week. That's not true.
That's okay. You're allowed to cry into a pillow. No one can stop you.
I ordered 2. Just kidding. That's also not true. Anyway.
Okay, our second bite-sized question. Wouldn't Falcon's face be covered in bugs once he's done flying around in the sky? And this came from IAJ Smith 24, also on our Discord channel. I saw this question and I had to dive into it because it made me laugh so hard just thinking about like Falcon flying around and getting bugs in his face, because it's true. Like he probably does catch a few bugs on his face while he's flying around.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, MT. I remember reading about this a while ago and it blew my mind. But there are trillions of insects like migrating over our heads every year through the air. And it's like way more than anyone ever thought. Like scientists started studying this and quantifying it by using like radar beams to count the insects, and also by like putting nets up at like different heights and catching insects to see like what number of insects they would find at like different altitudes. And they found like trillions of them.
That is insane and scary. I wish I didn't know that.
And like most of them are alive too. It was like only 1% of them that were just like dead carcasses blowing around. Like most of these bugs are like alive and they're migrating and stuff. And it's not even bugs with wings that are up there, because there are some spiders who can make like long strings of silk, and they basically just hold them like a kite and like fly.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not joking.
That's freaking dope. That's so cool. Why is there no spider kite man? That'd be amazing.
Yeah, Spider-Man should just be flying around with like long strings of web. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That is so cool. I love that.
Makes a lot of sense. So scientists in the UK alone, this is just the United Kingdom, observed over 3.37 trillion insects migrating between 500 and 4,000 feet. So up in that area, which Sam's spending a lot of time flying around at that height. And they could go higher because they found bugs way up high. They found like bees on top of Mount Everest. They figured out bees could fly in atmosphere as thin as like 29,000 feet up in the air, which is just crazy. Dang. So you have all these bugs flying around up there. And if we assume, so if over the UK there's 3.37 trillion insects, we have to assume over every landmass there's about that many insects flying around. And scientists say there could be even more in areas that are closer to the equator, because it's pretty cold up in the UK when you get high up, but like closer to the equator, it's pretty warm. There could be even more bugs. So Sam's probably hit a bug or 2 or 1,000 while he's like flying around.
At least 2 bugs.
Yeah. In some cases, he might be going fast enough that like it just gets obliterated and he doesn't notice it like it's a little bug. But every now and then, you know, he's catching like a wasp on his face. He's like, ugh. Which, why didn't Tony build him like a full mask? Like, do you think
seriously?
Do you think Tony like was like, do you want a full mask? He's like, no, I like the goggles. I like to be able to breathe. I don't like having stuff on my face.
I like to think that Tony had the mask ready, and then Sam didn't sign the accords. He was like,
You don't get the mask.
You don't get this bug-free mask. No, you criminal.
Yeah, I bet he's like swallowed some bugs too, and is just like too proud to talk about it. Like, he doesn't want to mention that he's like swallowing bugs up there. I did, when I was researching this, I read like a story, and this is apocryphal, but like a guy talking about being on his motorcycle and he ran into a June bug, like hit him in the testicle when he was going like 50 miles an hour. And he said it hurt so bad. So I can't even imagine what poor Sam is getting up there, up in the sky. The poor guy.
That is my biggest fear, Brandon. A June bug to the testicles. I never wish even my biggest enemy. I would never wish a June bug to the testicles for him.
50 miles an hour? Heck no.
No, maybe 49 miles per hour, but never 50. Never 50. That's too fast.
Well, MT, it's time for our favorite part of the show. And that's where we get into the box of scraps. Box of scraps. Box of scraps.
Boxes, you do the box of scraps.
You did it with a box of scraps.
In a cave with a box of scraps.
Today's box of scraps question is, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, John Walker goes back to his old high school for his big Good Morning America interview. Now, do you have a good memory about returning to a school at an older age, Brandon?
Well, I mean, I have a memory. I don't know if it's a good memory, but when I was after I'd graduated high school and I'm a freshman in college, I spent the spring semester back in my hometown. And one of the jobs you could get as a fresh-faced 18-year-old boy was taking a 6-hour training class, and then you're able to be a substitute teacher, right? So for whatever reason, I decided to be a substitute teacher. And I'm mostly doing like elementary schools, you know, because to them, an 18-year-old is a 100-year-old. You know, I'm an adult, they respect me. But my math teacher, who I really liked in high school, found out I was back in town and I was subbing. And she was like, oh, I would love for you to sub for me one day, because like teachers can request a specific sub. And I was like, okay. And so I go back to my high school less than a year out of graduating, and I'm like, this is so cool. I'm gonna be the teacher, and I'm gonna see some of my friends that I still have there and all that stuff. It was a terrible experience. No one respected me. They were just goofing on me all day, and I must have looked insane walking around like I'm a teacher now. And so I could go eat in the teacher's lounge if I wanted to, but I didn't, because I was like scared to go into the teacher's lounge.
Am I allowed
so then
to
I
be
sat
here?
with like the kids, which is probably not a good idea either. So I've got no respect from anybody. Thankfully, I only subbed for her for one day. And thankfully, I gave up my teaching career, because I don't think I was born to be a teacher. But never go back and sub your high school like less than a year out of leaving it, because it's not a fun experience.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like that you're being your age at that time is a very, really awkward thing to be a substitute. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, for me, I think that the only thing I could really think of was, you know, somewhat recently when I went back to my old college, because I graduated in 2014. And I was like, you know what? A couple of years later, I was like, I'm gonna go back and see what's going on there. And it was very weird seeing all the new freshmen, because they all look like babies, Brandon. They all look like baby children. And it was at that point that I realized time was doing cruel things to me and making me older and making the kids younger.
You're aging. You can't help it.
Exactly. It's all that aging that I strongly urge our viewers to stop. Just stop doing it. It's unfun. But yeah, that was the time when I realized, wow, I'm actually an adult, because these 18-year-olds look like, I don't know, 12-year-olds. So like now, I guess it's time for me to join AARP or something. I don't know.
That's when you know you're an adult, MT, is when you start looking at children and being like, they're too young to even be children. They're just
like
too young.
Whenever I see like young, like, I don't know, like middle schoolers like holding hands in relationships, I'm like, what do you know about love? What do you know? I was there when love was invented.
You're the ghost of Christmas future coming in and being like, beware.
Right?
Beware. This is your destiny.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't date anyone under 20. Like, don't date until you're like 21.
Don't commit yourselves.
Not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're in middle school and you're listening to this, break up.
Break up. It's not going to work out. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but
just break it off.
Just break up. Just focus on school. I don't know, color a thing. I don't know what people do in middle school. Learn your division, color something, and just chill.
I'm pretty sure middle school is coloring and division. You nailed it.
Yes, coloring, division, and then high school they teach you how to color in the lines, which is I remember.
That's true. That's what it's about, being an adult, learning to color in the lines. Oh boy. Well, this has been a depressing episode of Big Question MT. But thank you so much for joining me on this episode. You can follow MT at Mastertainment. Follow me at Brandon Barrick. Figure out how to spell it. Follow New Rockstars. Send us your big questions and use the hashtag Big Question. If you're listening to the podcast, subscribe to the feed and give us a nice rating and review. And make sure you subscribe to New Rockstars here on YouTube and hit that notification bell. This has been a blast, MT. I can't wait to do it with you again sometime.
Hey, you're the man, Brandon. You always know you're the man. I'm always telling you the man. You're the man, Brandon.
Oh, you're the man.
Actually, you're the man, Brandon. Don't. I already said
I will be the man.
Yes, thank you. Jeez.
Thank you.
Respect.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.